In his piece for the Daily Beast, Nigeria's lousy schools helped spawn Boko Haram. Philip Obaji Jr. details the state of Nigerian public education and how the Nigerian government must be held accountable. Philip joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be with you.
Absolutely. It's good for us as well. In the Hausa language, the word or term Boko Haram translates to Western education is forbidden. Why has the terrorist group made targeting schools and students such a high priority on their agenda?
Well, we must first of all know exactly what the agenda is. In the first place, they want to ensure that in northern Nigeria, there's a government controlled completely by this group. They want to create an Islamic caliphate in northern Nigeria. And how else do you achieve this? The best thing to do for them is to ensure that no one understands the importance of Western education. Whoever is educated is likely to go against them. This is in their thinking. I have spoken to one or two former fighters of Boko Haram, and this is what they say. They do not want, Boko Haram does not want anyone to be educated and then come to understand that what they stand for. Islam does not really support violence. Islam does not support violence. So Western education is on target because Boko Haram believes that whoever is educated will understand the truth about what Islam stands for. That's why they target Western education.
That's an important point. And most Nigerian children are passing to the next grade, but can barely read. Educators are more interested in seeing progress in school programs than actual educational goals reached. How do we fix that? What needs to be done?
Well, a lot. Even before the Boko Haram insurgency, Nigeria had been battling with the issue of poor education. The standards of education in Nigeria has always been poor. For the past 2 or 3 decades, we have, not seen progress in terms of real funding for education. Yes, people will argue that in the past 4 years, we've had a growth of about 9-10% in terms of funding for education. But the government, they really need to ensure that education is number one priority in its budget. We can have a situation where only 9-10-11% of the budget is spent on education. And lots of education unions in Nigeria are saying that government must spend up to 26% for us to get the basic amenities in schools available, for us to have children learn with the right stationaries, for us to have children learn in good classrooms, in conducive classrooms. So the bottom line is governments in both state and local governments in Nigeria must increase funding for education. And not just that, there must be the will, to fully embrace quality education. Because you can go ahead and increase funding for education, but when you begin to patronize your own people, when you begin to patronize your relatives, employing them as teachers, then all the talk about funding makes no meaning, makes no sense. So it is important that as much as the government increases funding, the government must also have the right attitude and kill certain, what we call in Nigeria, man-no-man business.
The other piece of this, because you've talked about the piece with the Islamic State and sort of how it's not real Islam. You've talked about some of these educational challenges. The other piece of this for me is the gender piece. Only 2% of married girls are in school compared to 69% who are unwed. And the age of marriage, obviously, is far different than in other spaces. Why is there such a difference in married girls versus unmarried girls in education? And more broadly, what is the challenge of gender equality in public education in Nigeria?
The problem of education in the North is cultural. It is believed that once a girl comes of age, she is ripe for marriage. I remember 2 years ago when a Nigerian senator had to defend himself for marrying a 13-year-old girl. He quoted the Islamic law, saying that the Islam law allows him to marry a girl that is of age. And what he meant by a girl of age is a girl from 14 years of age who
Wow.
can take decisions on her own, even though guided by her parents.
Now,
So,
is that Philip? Is that state mandated, or is that his own? Was that his own individual choice? This idea that of age meant 14. Is that like de facto, or is there actual written policy that says that's legal?
Well, if I understood you clearly, there is no legal. You have the Child Rights Act in Nigeria, which says that a girl should get married when she turns 18. But laws at the federal level are implemented differently from state level. And out of Nigeria's 36 states, only a little over 20 states have implemented that law. And many of these states are in southern Nigeria, which is predominantly Christian. But in the north, because the states have not implemented this Child Rights Act, it means that they don't operate with any law that says the girl must be up to 18 before she gets married. So, what is predominant there, what the hinge they believe on, even the Islamic law, it says that a girl that is mature enough, and that boils down to what the individuals can actually interpret as maturity. So if a girl is of the adolescent age, an average mother will say this girl is ripe enough for marriage. And what they believe is that if a parent, if a girl's parent says, well, you can marry my daughter, then they will go ahead. So that's the challenge. There are no laws as such really restricting underage children from getting married.
Right, but despite the de jure realities, as you said, there's a mentality that governs a whole different set of practices, and that's what we want to keep our eyes on. Philip, thank you for joining us and for giving us some insight into it.